Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World. And in this video I'm going to go over the kit reveal for both Hockney and Hugo. Unfortunately, for some reason they haven't uploaded the videos, which makes literally zero sense, and also means we're going to have less information than usual, which is super annoying. And I don't think they're going to upload them anytime soon, so that's why I'm recording the video right now. And yeah, we will have to wait for when they're actually live to see what they're going to do. The videos are important because they're going to show the role there, so we don't know if Falcon is actually going to be a support and Heljo is actually going to be a mage. I'm going to talk about that once we go over them, but yeah, we don't have that piece of information, which is a shame. And we also don't know if they're ranged or close range. We don't know the area of their skills, if there are some AoE skills or something. So it's really, really difficult with this amount of information to say anything. I will still try my best to at least try and give you an idea of whether you should be going for Hugo or Heljo, but that's going to be quite difficult. And probably by now you already made your own decision. That's kind of up to you, I would say. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get started with Hockney first, and then we can move on to Heljo. So for Hockney, this guy is going to be blue, which to me was, I don't want to say 100% unexpected, but I was 95% sure this guy was going to be yellow, but I guess blue is also fine. And I would say this guy is going to be a support. We're going to see the kit in a second. But yeah, definitely it looks like a support to me. So we'll see. I'm going to start with the passive first, and then we're going to move our way up. So for the passive, he has a very interesting one. So he's going to be basically unhittable at the start of the battle. We don't know for how many seconds. My guess would be at best 6 or 8 seconds. That is going to evade every single skill and basic attack is going to be receiving, which makes me think this guy is going to be close range, which is a bit unfortunate, but we'll see exactly how durable is going to be. I don't know. Now we have the second part of the passive that is going to restore energy for the ally with the highest attack by a number. I don't know if this is going to be like 400, making the highest attack unit basically cast the special move immediately, or if it's going to be something different. I don't know. It's probably going to be something around 200 or so, which would make sense. And then it's also going to increase their crit hit rate and crit damage by a percentage. This is obviously an okay improvement. We need to see for which kind of duration, if it's going to be probably 15 seconds. I wouldn't expect it to be any longer, I think. It's very similar to Yellowy, but Yellowy also gives attack speed. Yellowy has a 15-second duration or unlimited with the Revolution. For this one, I have no idea. I would expect a 15 seconds, but we'll see. Already the passive, pretty solid, some survivability for himself, and some energy for your highest attack unit and additional damage. Not many units will leverage the crit hit rate, but the crit damage is definitely going to be pretty solid. Then we have the first active skill. Hockney is going to restore energy for the ally with the highest attack, again, for a certain number. We don't know how much that's going to be, probably again 200 or maybe 400. We'll see. And also increase their attack by a percentage, again for a certain duration. Unfortunately, all of these buffs can be removed, like this attack buff can be removed, and also crit hit rate and crit damage, but still, I would say it's pretty solid to have. And if the ally that receives the buff is involved in elimination, their energy is also immediately restored by another amount. This is definitely really, really good. So you could have a unit that can literally keep on spamming the special move if they get executes, which is pretty cool. Then we have the second active skill. Hockney is going to deal a percentage of attack as damage to a certain number of enemies, we don't know how many, and lock them for a duration. And then he's going to decrease their defense by percentage for a duration with a maximum number of stacks. Now, this stacking makes me think that the random enemies, like if there is only one enemy, is going to do multiple hits against them. That's my guess. Otherwise, the stacking wouldn't make that much sense. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see exactly the percentages here and the amount of hits, but it looks pretty solid. Now with the special move, super simple. All it does is just increase all allies' evasion by a percentage for a duration. This is going to be really good to improve the survivability of the team. In terms of percentages, I would expect the lowest amount to be 40%, but I doubt that's going to be that low. And to me, it's more likely to be 60 or 80%, which is pretty solid. And the duration, probably around 6 seconds, I would guess. And that would leave enough time to be able to chain it. So it will be pretty good. So we'll see exactly, but so far looks interesting. And the other part is more or less worthless, kind of. It's just healing whenever the ally with the buff dodges. Fine, but not really too important, I think. If you are at a certain deficit, you're still going to get one-shotted, so it might not be too useful, but could come in handy at times, so it's okay. Now, for exclusive equipment and Revolution, they could buff the hell out of this kit, but this is already at base pretty solid for support. So I kind of like it. I'm happy they didn't really mess him up. It could end up being maybe not that good, but so far the base kit is promising. So I have high expectations of this unit. And that's all we can say, unfortunately. Without the video, it's not like we can speculate anything more, but okay. We'll see now the next unit, which is the SSR Plus unit, Heljo. And in this case, this guy is purple, which was expected. And I would say with 99% certainty, he's going to be a mage. And if you ask me, he's also going to be ranged and deal physical damage type. So that's my guess. It would work really well with David. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Now let's have a look at the kit. Starting with the passive, this is kind of annoying, I would say, because it restricts him to like being played in only mono purple, which is annoying if you ask me. He's going to get an attack and HP increase by percentage per purple ally, excluding summon beings. And this buff cannot be removed with buff removal skills. So my guess would be 40%, or maybe it could be 80% attack and 40% HP per purple ally. That would be like 400% and 200%. Nice increase. So that would be good and worth playing in just a mono purple team. And also the fact that the buff cannot be removed is pretty dope. So we'll see. Definitely could act as a highest attack bait, because we'll see in a second he also has some sort of invincibility. So not too bad. Then we have a really good part of the passive. Enemies damaged by Heljo have their defense decreased by percentage and swiftness decreased by a number for a certain duration with a maximum number of stacks. This is pretty good. So every time you're going to damage enemies, you're going to decrease their defense and swiftness. Now, the amount of defense decrease could be really important. If the amount is just up to 40%, and that's gonna suck. If it's up to 80%, could be okay. If it's 100% or above, then definitely amazing. We also need to see how many stacks, but this guy has multi-hits and AoE attacks, so even if it is like 10, 20 stacks, it will still be okay if the final percentage is high enough. So we'll see, but this is definitely promising and looks really good. Then the first time he takes fatal damage, he's going to, well, go out of control, becoming invincible for a duration. We don't know how long that's gonna be. Remove all debuff and recover a percentage of his max HP. And then he's going to lose HP by percentage of his max HP every second until he's finally killed. So you will want some units that can actually heal him up, or just try to avoid him dying in the first place. We'll see exactly if we're going to get something more from Exclusive Event or Revolution. But yeah, if the percentage here is not too high, maybe you can easily offset it with an healer, even though healers in the purple element are not really that great. Actually, who is even an healer in purple? I think I'm missing something, because Yura doesn't heal as far as I remember. Nare, nope. Unagero, not even. Kind of tricky. I mean, I think he's the only healer, so he's going to heal for himself because he has like HP recovery in the special move. So if this drain is just 1%, then he should be able to stay alive no problem, I believe. But we'll see. Then we have the first active skill, really important, Zero Zone. He's going to summon an area where the enemies are most concentrated, and then deal a percentage of his attack as damage every second. Enemies inside the zone have their HP recovery blocked and their swiftness decreased by a number. Now, this morning, I'm pretty sure this was not an N, but it was a 5. So I don't know if that was a typo, probably yes, because they corrected it. But if it is only 5-second duration, that's gonna suck. Unless the execute increases it by like 10 seconds, then maybe it's fine. Because 5-second uptime on an active skill kinda sucks. So it needs to be at the very least 10 to 12 seconds, something like that, and then it would be okay. So this HP recovery block could be really, really impactful. So there is potential here. And also the additional swiftness decrease is really good. If you like look at this, is kind of similar to Revolution Bomb, but it doesn't have as many invincibility frames in his kit. Actually, it doesn't have any other than the one from the passive. But the swiftness decrease and defense decrease are both here, and he also has HP recovery block on top. I would say in general it doesn't have the massive AoE knockup, but I think it's still quite fine. So it doesn't look too bad. He has a good base, but we'll see what they're going to do with Exotic Meta Revolution. And also, if they make him ranged and physical, then that's amazing. If he's close range, that's gonna suck. If he's magic type damage, which I doubt because both Mashini and White are magic type damage, then that would be pretty bad if he was to be magic. But if he's physical and ranged, he's going to work crazy well with David, and we'll see exactly what's going to happen then, but definitely looks pretty good. And we're going to see after the special move also why I'm saying that David is really strong with them. Then he has the second active skill, he's going to fire a Shinsu beam forward, dealing a percentage of his attack as damage to enemies and knocking them back. So this is the only CC he has, basically. Then he has like an interesting mechanic. If his HP is higher than a certain threshold, then he's going to lose HP and then increase the attack coefficient of this attack. This seems to be a single hit. We don't know how high that's going to be. Probably like 800 plus 600, maybe 800 plus 400. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see the percentages. I hope they're high, otherwise it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then the other part is that if he's below a percentage, he's going to recover HP. So that's going to work together with the passive. He's losing HP, he's casting his active skill, and he's gaining HP back. Okay. But then we have this special move. This is pretty solid, and I hope they're going to address the problems with the revolution. It's going to teleport in the area where enemies are most concentrated and absorb Shinsu from nearby enemies, dealing a percentage of attack as damage a number of times. This is important for what I said before about David. David has an attack coefficient increase for the skills, and this is definitely going to be important for multi-hit attacks. That's going to be pretty good. And after these like number of attacks, he's going to then explode the Shinsu and deal percentage of attack as damage for one last massive hit, hopefully. And the final explosive attack increases the attack coefficient by a percentage for every percentage of the target's HP currently lost. So the lower the enemy HP, the more attack coefficient this attack is going to deal. That's pretty good, but again, if you start dealing damage to them, they will be at max HP initially, so the damage is not going to be high. But after a few casts, hopefully you can deal pretty massive damage to them and finish them off. But again, we'll have to wait for the actual numbers. We have no idea. He's also going to recover HP equal to the damage dealt by this skill, both by the number of attacks here and the final explosion. That's pretty okay, again, to counter the HP loss from the passive. And after the attack is done, he's going to return to his original position and become immune to status effect while using the skill. Now, they need to change this immune to status effect while using the skill into something like invincibility, and I believe they will do that, otherwise it makes no sense. And saying that he's going to return to his original position makes me think he's ranged. Otherwise, there will be no mention of this. So it's good. I'm 99% sure again is going to be a physical ranged mage unit. So range in terms of range of attack, and mage is going to be the role. So there is a lot of potential in this guy. If they don't mess up the percentages, he could deal a shit ton of damage. Really good utility already with the HP recovery block, defense decrease, and swiftness decrease. Could be a DPS, seems like it, because they give him a lot of attack increase and attack coefficient increases. So it should be intended as such. We'll see if he can actually push deficits better than Machiny and White. We don't know, but definitely it could be good. Now, for the last point of this video, should you pull for Hugo or wait for a Joe release? So skip Hugo. Now, this is a bit tricky because, as you know, Hugo is really good. Like, her survivability is second to probably no other unit. Like, she's actually unkillable. And her damage is really high, also at higher deficits. If you're going higher than 450, then it's going to be tricky. You can still pull it off, probably, but it's going to definitely be tricky. I would say she's such a solid unit. It's a bit of a shame to skip her, but we also have to take into account that SSR Plus units are always available, so it's not like you're going to miss on them forever. You can always pull for them later on, either in the black market or with some kind of deals, or with the non-stop SSR Plus banners they're going to release for anniversary or other similar events. So there are different ways you can get her. It's not the end of the world if you skip her. And the same applies also to Eljo. I mean, Eljo, if you end up not having enough resources, you can also skip him. It's probably not a big deal unless you're really struggling with an element. And that unit you see after using them in the trial that they're really good and helpful for your account, I would say you can easily skip them. It is also important because we got the announcement about the collab, and it's more important if you have limited resources to use them on the collab banner because those units are gone. After the banner is over, you cannot pull for them anymore. It's really important to get some copies of them, given they're good, obviously. If they really suck, then there is no reason to, but if they're good, it's a really nice investment. A really cheap way to max out like 4 units. So these are the things to keep in mind. You cannot use black market tickets in the collab. So if you have huge amounts of black market tickets, you could go for one of the 2 units, so either Hugo or Heljo. But if you have less than 600, it would really make no sense because you're not going to get Rainbow 5 Hugo, and you're probably not going to get Rainbow 5 Heljo. And at that point, you're probably better off just waiting for a family head or some other broken units that are going to come in the following months and just max them. It's better to have fewer SSR Plus units but maxed out as compared to just a bunch of 3 blue, 1 purple SSR Plus units. They really make little sense. You cannot really use them. There are some exceptions, but most of them are not really going to be that worth using if they're not maxed out. So that's something to keep in mind. Now, if we really have to say, okay, I have enough resources to get one of them to Rainbow 5, which one should I pick? I will say, well, first you have to look at which SSR Plus units you have for the 2 elements, mainly if you're struggling with the trials. Otherwise, for adventure, it doesn't really matter, like mono element comps are not really important in adventure, nor relevant. But yeah, let's say if you already have an Adam Rainbow 5 in yellow and you have absolutely nobody in purple, then skipping Yuga and going for Eljo could be better just for having like better progression in the trials. But let's say you already have white, you already have Adam. Should you go for Hugo or Heljo? And also in that case, is again tricky. If you need a good frontline unit that can survive and provide nice utility regardless of your deficit, then Hugo is really nice. Like, she's never going to die. You need a lot of like swiftness to play her. So if you just started out, your assassins and also ranged units have low swiftness, then she might not be the best option. I would say at the very least you should aim for 100 plus swiftness. That's also very easy to achieve, let's say, in a reasonable time. So if you have that, Hugo is definitely a nice option. If you don't, then probably Hugo is not going to do too much for your account, and you're better off just going for Heljo. Heljo seems to be really solid and also future-proof. Just looking at the base kit, but we have very, very little information. So it's too difficult for me to say, nah, just skip Hugo and go for Eljo. Because Hugo kind of proved herself. For Eljo, we don't know. It is promising. I have high expectations. I think it's going to be pretty good. If it's going to be better than Hugo, I don't know. So yeah, I'm sorry I cannot really provide more insight on this. I think I really don't know, guys. It's really difficult. I really like Hugo. I will use her for a very long time. Actually, I think I will always use her. Just super useful. And considering my deficit will never go higher than 320 or so, I really like my Hugo can 1v5. I don't think Hell Joe will have the capability to 1v5 like even a 300 deficit. Mostly because of this passive here that makes me think without at least 4 other teammates, it's not really going to do much. Obviously, you can always throw in some random purple units just for the sake of the buff. That could still count as a 1v5, but I don't know. I think Eljo will be more team dependent. If you don't have David, I think he's also going to suffer a bit. We'll see if we really want to play David here or we want to use David with BAM, then leverage the insane amount of overtime energy that they're going to generate. That I don't know. Or maybe we can also use both of them with him. I don't know, not sure. We really have to see how good this special move is going to be. And I really need to give him invincibility. As it is right now, this kit has too many flaws. So unless they fix them with Exotic Revolution, this guy could end up really underperforming. And yeah, that's really all I can say, guys. If you are in doubt, it's better to skip and save your resources. So don't pull for Hugo. And that is because, again, you can pull for her anytime. It's not like you're time limited. Okay, you're losing out on the 2 free copies and on the better PT, but that's okay. At the end of the day, it's not really going to change too much. You are going to leverage those for a new unit in the future anyway. So yeah, that's more or less my thoughts on these kits. Let me know in the comments how you feel about them. I will be streaming tomorrow, I believe, from 6 p.m. Central European time, something like that. We'll see. I will definitely like make the live stream tomorrow morning so that you can see the actual time. And yeah, that's more or less it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye.